Okay. Peace, 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 family. I want to welcome you guys to another Metaphysical Monday. We have here sitting with us Ancient Angel, a repeat guest. He's coming back to build with us on the ancestors tonight. So before we get started, I'm gonna let him, you guys will get a chance to talk to him. But before we get started, we want to open up with a few announcements. Okay. So thank you guys who's been supporting. I'm happy to see these repeat guests in the comments. I encourage it. Y'all tap in and come and be a part of the live. Right now, I'm not doing live streaming on Denim Design. What I am doing is uploading the replays, and you guys can come here to the home of Metaphysical Monday, Kolagraphy TV, and show some love, tap in, comment. And remember, you guys, I'm also accepting. Look at Ishmael, brother Bay in the audience. Yes, I say. Okay. Whew. That's good. That's a familiar face. Shout out to Ishmael, brother Bay. Can't wait to get him back on as well. So tonight, as you guys know, we're going to be building on the ancestors. We're building on with the new world we're in. And I did this before with the 42 laws of Ma'at and things like the Sharia law of what we should still be, invested in, what should we, not just those things, because there's other things like Ifa traditions and different spiritual traditions that we hold. And some of it we're emotional about. But when it comes down to certain practices like sacrifices, working with blood, certain ways we think, is that something we should still be dealing with, and what's and understanding what's behind it and where we are now in the modern world. That's what how we're gonna kick it off. So I want to start with a platform disclaimer because I'm going to be having a lot of different schools of thought here, still things that elevate the community, but I just want to be clear on New Soljet community versus, and I've been reading it every week now. So I'm going to go ahead and get on to that. And it's not because I don't share the beliefs of my guests, but maybe not all beliefs. I just want to keep it open where, you guys kind of understand what's going on here, because this is a place, a channel for all, for schools of thought, higher consciousness. People are going to be bringing in different types of things. I'm not against religion in the sense where everybody get a voice, because what did I say last week? At the end of the day, no matter what we believe, we are the world. We all we got. So with that being said, I want to start with my disclaimer. So this is Metaphysical Monday. It is hosted by me, Kola Soljet, under Kolagraphy TV. The space centers Black thought, spiritual exploration, and community dialogue. Guests are invited to share their perspectives, experiences, and insights. All views expressed by guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of Kola Soljet or the Metaphysical Monday platform. Appearances on this platform does not imply alignment, endorsement, or share belief. Any clips, excerpts, redistributed content must include proper credit to Metaphysical Monday, Kolagraphy TV, and any unauthorized edits or framing that misrepresents the host or platform are not permitted. And that's pretty much it. And that's for everybody around the board, just for my guests to know. Anyway, I hope you guys had a blessed weekend. How you doing today, Ancient Angel? Have you tapped in with us right quick? And how you been doing?
I mean, I've been great. Life's been great. No complaints here. Everything's going up. Thanks to you and our collab last time, the algorithms are doing good too. It was already doing good, but it's doing better. So I appreciate it, and I'm just grateful. How are you?
I'm good. Absolutely, they're doing better. I noticed that too, and that's what I was talking about. How when we got that Earth energy together, that Capricorn Virgo energy, I say, look at
Mhm.
them pushing the line, because
Yeah.
I really wanted to not collapse, but it's been a lot, you guys. I want to give thanks to everybody, and I want to just wish strength and power to the people out here in the audience and in the world, to you and your family. We've been pushing a lot, and we are in a very crucial time in our evolution and just in our life on this planet. It's a lot of push and pull. People struggling to get things in balance. For me, I've been doing spring cleaning, but it feel like, the cleaning is on top of me to the point where I got to take a nap to finish what I'm doing. But the point is, we're fighting against a force right now as we settle into the new world. You know, so I'm excited to also, I just want to give thanks to the ancestors. I'm not going to go into a full ritual prayer tonight. I just want to thank the watchers. I want to thank the guardians, the keepers of the gate. I want to give thanks to our blood, because one of the ways we actually connect with the ancestors is through our blood. That's something that we can't change. The blood of the slaves still run through our veins. The blood of the Native Americans or the Black Indians still run through our veins. The blood of Africa still run through our veins, and the blood of consciousness, the blood of the earth, water, right? So I just wanted to go ahead and get started. So we've been talking about this a lot, and I wanted to bring in the AI piece because I'm building on an AI series of, as every, God is becoming consciousness to some people, intelligence is becoming gods to some people. So how do we maintain our spiritual etiquette, if you want to call it that, and the veneration of our ancestors in these times? So I'm gonna go ahead and see what you want to build on. I just had some announcements. I think I made them all. Yeah, I want to get Ishmael Bay back in eventually. And so did you want me to start with a reflection point, or did you want to go ahead? Yeah, I'm gonna start with a reflection point.
Yeah, you could do it.
Um, I wanted to start with this. So, what is an ancestor? Before discussing ancestral wisdom, what is an ancestor? Because a lot of times you hear people talking about Zeus and talking about Cleopatra, talking about Amenhotep, talking about Aset, Isis, right? Talking about all of these different things. But these people may not even be related to you. You understand what I'm saying? So what is an
Yeah,
ancestor except like the big mamas, the great grandmothers, those ones? That's one thing. Looking at, that's two different things though, like when you spoke about cosmic ancestors, right?
yeah,
So we're
yeah.
looking at what is an ancestor, and is ancestor only by bloodline?
I don't believe that, or I think science says that too. So
Right.
the
Yeah.
ancestors. So even like in science, right? They already proved that like the atoms in our body and like the water in our body, everything existed before we existed, right? And we're connected to the stars, or we're connected to these celestial bodies.
And connected to each other.
So,
That's a good point. So
right.
go ahead and introduce yourself. You're an ancient angel from out of the Bronx. BK,
Yeah,
BX.
yeah, yeah.
BX,
So
yeah.
I'm Angel the Ancient. I am from the Bronx. For the people who didn't catch it last time, for the people who are new watching, thank you. I also want to give thanks to you for letting me on your platform. I want to give thanks to the ancestors. I want to give thanks to my spirit guides, the spirits of the multiverses, the earth, and your spirit team too for allowing these transmissions and downloads to happen. I'm really grateful. Okay. But the ancestors existed before the universe existed, right? The universe is just a reflection of something that already existed before, right? The spirit realm existed before the physical realm, right? And that's pretty well established across every culture, right? So that's not just my culture, your culture, anyone saying that in particular, right? That's collectively throughout different time periods, throughout different phonetics and just places and people who wouldn't meet, who share collective spiritual knowledge. And that's the stuff that's running through the DNA that you were talking about. And that's also the stuff that's running through the fields, because our atoms and all that stuff and our protons, all these things, they're also connected, and everything's connected. So technically, your ancestors were everything: the air, the water, the animals. You're also an ancestor, right? We're ancestors, right? So when we're having these conversations about what's the ancestor, it's not necessarily a physical thing, right? And there are physical ancestors too, right? And we also feel their pain through the DNA and stuff, right? Just like we feel the pain of those celestial wars that happened way before we existed. So across the to me, when I see the symbolism across different civilizations, it's very shared as far as the science what we're looking at. And I feel like when they're talking about these, these characters like Osiris or Quetzalcoatl, or all these different beings are, the sun, right? You have this, you have space, you have air, you have different qualities, right? Like Nut would be almost the ether in a way, right? Or like everything that connects everything, right? So this is ancient science that people were teaching, and we are connected to everything. And so showing respect is showing respect to everything. Even when we were talking about last time building that we could be talking and helping an ancestor because the ancestors are alive now too. So what are the ancestors is a pretty loaded question, but
Right.
it's almost everything in a way. The
Okay.
ancestors
Well.
is
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, go ahead. I'm sorry. But so throughout different cultures, there have been different rituals and different systems that were created, and they all work to a degree. Like there's rituals that work, right? So energy is energy. It doesn't really matter the name you call this energy, right? You can invoke it, and there's ways to respect it, and there's different ways people have done it throughout time, right?
Mhm.
There's people who can even do like rituals, and they don't follow the necessary steps of, let's say, one system, but it will work just through intentions, right? So
Mhm.
mental magic and all these things exist. And if people are gonna be invoking the ancestors and stuff like that, it's good to know what you're talking about, and not to just do things for self-monetary gains, and to understand like the powers behind what you're doing. Because
Okay.
um yeah, sorry.
Okay. So I wanna kind of also ground it for people that may not understand like literally, all of what we're talking about. Because when we talk about ancestors, we're also talking about our grandparents. We're talking about family traditions to celebrate
Yeah.
certain holidays, and I just want to bring it to a base level for people that generational patterns. Even the things we've had to break out of to become spiritual when your family have certain expectations of you. And this, like you may decide, like some of us went into Islam, but we may have come from Christian backgrounds. Some people might have went into Christianity after leaving something like Islam, or they may leave and go to E5. These just in the everyday life, because everybody is not, versed in the galactical way of connecting with ancestors. For some people, ancestors stop at Black History Month. I'm just saying,
I mean,
So,
uh,
so the point is, I wanted to kind of look at some even inherited traumas and stuff that we have. So when we
that's true.
talk about certain things, you wanna break in with what about how the ancestral lineages evolved to where we are now, even devolve? Because like certain things that's happened here in America and happened in our world, we may have lost certain things that could actually still be beneficial. And I wanted to build on just on stuff like that, on traditions, because some traditions are still ancestral. We create
Yeah,
our own selves. It may
right.
be something your grandmother and family do that another family doesn't do, and if they're
Right.
they're passed on. That's still and some of these things came out of survival and stuff. It wasn't necessarily something that God ordained, but things that we've adapted or how we've had to assimilate because of different migrational shifts, different things that happened on the planet, such as things like slavery or, some things of that sort. So let's talk about what do you think of let's start with generational curses.
Okay.
Let's
Generational curses.
mhm.
So that is through bloodlines, right? Because we are born through certain bloodlines, but we also choose the vessel, right? So we choose these destinies. So in a way, I know there's a lot of trauma that comes with these things, but people, we're here to fight, So I want to give a little motivation, because there is trauma that comes with being in these vessels, right? So every culture throughout the whole world, throughout history is a very dark subject. It's not a very happy-go-lucky subject, right? A lot of things happen, and we do venerate the ancestors, but we also know not all of them were necessarily. I know there's no good or evil, but for lack of a better term, I'm gonna use the word good, right? So they weren't so good, some of the ancestors, right? A lot of ancestors did things that wasn't great. A lot of ancestors are traitors for us to even get to this point in history, right? Or very cooperative. To get to this point in history, a lot of the ancestors were very cooperative, right? So we're not necessarily talking about good people or evil people. It's everything mixed across the board, right? So we have like all these things that have happened throughout history, right? Within our DNA, all these things, right? These mixed histories because we don't just come back as this vessel. We've lived multiple lives. A lot of there's new souls, but a lot of these souls have lived multiple lives, and you don't live in the same race. So these ancestral traumas are deeper than just the vessels, but not because it's all the vessels, all the
How
races, all of that.
how
We
about
feel all of
I'm sorry, finish your thought, and I wanted to just say something before, because it's in that vein of what you're saying. I want to ask you a question.
now, please go ahead, because that's basically the thing is that we the trauma it exists, and we are supposed to fight against that, but it does exist, and it's something that is not just built into one thing. Like we're mixed too in our vessels, because I'm mixed, right? But
Mhm.
it's deeper than that too.
What do
It's
you mix
past
with?
like
Share it with us. What do you
so
mix with?
me, my mom's her parents died when she was young, so I don't exactly know. She said many things before. She said Hungary, she said Poland, she said Jewish. My dad noticed that I have like red hairs, red chin hairs, so I know I have Irish, right? And my dad's half Puerto Rican. So my mom is mixed European and my dad's half Puerto Rican. So I always like my half, I'm half Puerto Rican and then mixed. But Puerto Rican is a mix within itself,
Absolutely, absolutely
right?
it is. But my
So
question is this: instead
no.
of viewing it as good and evil of the
Mhm.
ancestors, we got to also look at the times they were in and what was necessary for that time. Like if you're talking about the age of Aries, a wartime, we got to be realistic with the age that we were in and what worked for then, which is why this discussion is so important, because we're in a new time now. And I mean, I'm not gonna be out walking with camels and sandals and all of this stuff and saying I don't want a car, because that's not how the Lord walked. I mean, we're in a different age, so it's kind of like what goes in, what can we, incorporate into today's society with AI and stuff. But you bring up good points. It's not so much they did things that wasn't the that would seem almost like in this day and time almost harmful. It could be considered barbaric. It could be considered unnecessary for now. So,
Right.
I'm with you on that on that part of it. So, with
It's
that
not
being said,
necessarily just that though. It's also like just like us facing the realistic things, right? Like things happened and we gotta know that, right? We just gotta know it. It's not necessarily like, good or evil or that. It's just knowing and then being able to build and move forward. But it's something that we can't like hide and sweep under the rug. Like it happened, right? And when we're giving respect to these energies, we're already face the shadow aspect of it. You know,
mhm. so
right?
so let's start with something that's one of the most taboo things when we talk about ancestors. People try to
Okay,
jump around it and skip around it, but we might as well put it out there. Human
okay.
sacrifices. That's something that really happened. That is a
Talk about
real
that.
thing.
Let's talk about that.
And some of the even of the native tribes like Aztec and different things like that partook
Glad
in
you mentioned.
a lot of these rituals. I
Yes,
don't really know why they felt like that was the thing to do. I haven't seen the whole breakdown of why they thought that was the thing to do, or that was just a dominance thing or a power thing. It's so many different, things that, like you said, we don't know what was. A lot of things happened. There is a dark history. Some things could have
yes.
been war type stuff. I don't know. But did you want to speak on the ancestor or the human sacrifices?
This realm wasn't conceived in an innocent way. This whole universe, it wasn't an innocent to be a paradise type thing, right? Within that, that's the first thing I'm gonna say. The next thing I'm gonna say is there's no good or evil, right? There's only choices, karma, and dharma. So there's energy, right?
And consequences.
So right. Yeah, that's why they talk about playing with this. So if let's say something is already you have a pet or whatever, or like you have a goat, right? You're in the Middle East, you have a goat, right? And it died of whatever natural causes. If you're gonna use that plasma in a way to do something, I don't think that's necessarily the worst thing. But people who want to literally, you want to take the life force of a being and just end them for your ritual. Now that's where the karma comes in, right? So there's ways to do things, and there's just things that work, right? So, to me personally, I feel like the sacrifice was for the beings that are still running things. So, it's like the same way snakes like the eggs of other beings. There's a reason why a bunch of kids go missing all the time, and I'm gonna relate that to that, and that's what it is, and that's been happening for thousands of years. That's what the Aztecs are doing. But the people who run the show, they're all related throughout history. So what I believe, and what I believe I could scientifically verify throughout my series, I'm gonna present my evidence, and people could feel however they feel. But I believe that they all landed at one point, which is somewhere at the North Pole, and the family spread out down in different places, and then they eventually came back together. So it's one family, and family gets kicked out over time, right, and stuff like that. So they eventually, a lot of them spread throughout. So a lot of us have the bloodlines of these beings too. That's how it
Right. So
happened.
so when you speak into, just to be clear, so because some of
Mhm.
these people that watch, again, they're elders, they never heard this. They know Jesus Christ, they know Allah. You know
Okay.
what I mean? We
Got
saw when we talk, you young school, but when they talk,
got
and I'm with it, I'm hip.
it.
We just want to make sure we're clear. Because they will be
Okay.
brothers and sisters that will give, they got something to say about things. So I want to
Okay.
just say this. When you
Respect to
speak
the
into,
elders.
when you,
Respect to the elders.
yeah, shout out to
Okay.
the elders for sure.
Shout out to the elders for
Much
sure. And
respect.
thank you for tuning in and even listening to me, as an elder. I really appreciate that. That is
For
powerful.
sure. For
Thank
sure. Yeah. I'm still a baby compared to people 80 and 90 though. That I ain't saying that they tapping in at that age, but you never know. There's
you.
some
Yeah.
there's some innovative elders. but but the point is, seriously, when you talk about these beings or this race, kind of explain what you're speaking to. Are you
Okay.
talking about aliens? Are you talking about
Yeah.
hybrids?
Okay. I know the word alien, so it's such a loaded and such a watered down term. So I'm gonna try and make it make sense for people. Okay. So the religions on where you come from, the three Abrahamic religions of today, right? Christianity and Islam, they need the Genesis story for their religion to work. So automatically, it's a Jewish creation lens, right? So we have to all agree there. This is where we're starting, right? So the Jews were slaves in Egypt and Babylon. And someone needs to show me one people who were enslaved who didn't worship the slave master's religion and do all their things, right? They didn't have their own customs and all of that, right? So you could see where they get their influences from, along with Zoroastrianism and other things, right? So that's the baseline of the laws, right? When we talk about the Ten Commandments, and you mentioned the 42 laws of Ma'at, right? That's where these things come from, right? So now, if we could all agree that these things come from that origin, right? Now we could get to these stories more seriously, right? And in these stories, the older ones, the Egypt, the Hindus, the Sumerians, right, the natives, they talk about other races of beings that come from other places, and they come from inside the earth, right? They landed, they went inside the earth, all these crazy things, right? So
Inner
that's
earth
that's what
beings.
I'm
Hmm.
alluding to.
So that would
I'm,
make them terrestrial and not extraterrestrial. If you're in from this earth, you're a form of terrestrial
they
because the
when
earth
they
is
landed here,
terrestrial.
they went
Mhm.
inside the earth, so they're not from here. In the way I understand it.
Well, what I mean is that they're from inner earth. They're not from the stars. They're here with they're in the earth on this sphere with us. Unless you think Earth is the only planet, is what I'm speaking to. I
Okay.
don't know. Are
Um.
you speaking because when you talk about there's a story about Yaqub in Islam that speaks
Yeah.
to inner earth beings.
Right.
But you get what they talk about the Abyssinians. I believe that's what the group of people is called, and it was several species that lived in the earth. Um, So that's what I'm asking. Even Credo Mutwa, he said those people, well, from what he says, is not extraterrestrial. They're terrestrial because they're here, like on in this sphere. They're on Earth. Like meaning some beings couldn't even be in this atmosphere. I know
Yeah,
they're in the Earth, but they're still on Earth. If that makes sense.
right.
So what he was saying is that they tried to convince us. We talked about this before, the Chitauri and stuff like that, that they were
Okay.
from some other planets, but those beings were right here from this terrain, but inside of the Earth. So I just wanted to be clear if that's what you were speaking to
Okay.
on.
So, all right, I'm a fully explain. So, Earth itself isn't an original planet within itself. The Earth actually is a comet that got smashed off from a bigger planet, and that's what the asteroid belt is. And so there's beings that lived on that original planet. So technically, when like they say they're from here and they resonate from here, that's technically a true statement. There's other places in the cosmos that life exists, um, not just Earth. But the science that they teach is very materialistic, and the way space travel works doesn't necessarily work the way they're saying. And there's plenty of scientific reports on and evidence of portals connecting different stars. This connected to Alpha Centauri. There's portals to the sun, right? There's different portals that exist, and they don't have to travel necessarily the way we think of space travel. And there's ways to just remote view through these portals. So they didn't necessarily even have to like just travel and guess where they were going or anything like that. So there was a planet. It got hit by Nibiru. That planet exploded. Earth is a comet from that planet. Okay, and those beings left and then came back. And when they came back from the North Pole, and there's a hole in the North Pole and a hole in the South Pole, and there's NASA satellite images of it. You could go to the ESSA-7 and the ESSA-9 NASA satellite images, and you'll see the hole. Okay, and that's the hole that they went to, and that's the hole that goes inside the Earth. So technically, yes, these beings are from the original Earth, and they came back and they went inside the earth. So technically, the way that they're translating it is technically correct. Like as far as the way I'm understanding it too through the studies.
Thank you for giving that explanation. So basically, you could go ahead and do your framework. You were saying that they all started in a place, and then these
Yeah.
individuals began to spread out, which is kind of like that Pangea type idea as well. Where everything home starting on one continent and things separating over time.
Yes.
Like looking at it where they were speaking from the out of Africa theory. But the point is, I'll go ahead and explain your framework. I'm gonna chill and just listen and let you go.
Okay.
If anybody have any comments, concerns, want to tap in with this,
Yeah.
please,
I
please,
I don't
please.
want to stir people up, but I'm going to be speaking. This is not my opinion on a lot of stuff. Okay, and this is respect to people's history, because his story isn't always your story. Okay, and that's very important to know. So the out of Africa stuff was created by racist eugenics doctors for them to say that they're the more evolved race. Okay. And for someone like me, a Puerto Rican who's actually like triracial, technically according to their evolution, I would be a whole new species anyway, more evolved than them. So I should be rolling with that science, but I'm not because it's not true science, right? And I'm not gonna play myself or try and big myself just because it sounds cool, right? So there's a bunch of fossils that have been found to prove that the out of Africa theory is not true. Okay, and all I'm gonna use the word black people, even though black and white doesn't exist. Those are terms from the 1800s. All black people don't come from Africa. Okay, there's dark skinned pigment people from all over. There's natives from everywhere. Okay, so when they find a dark skin, there's scientific reports that white people don't exist past 3,000 years or 6,000 years. There's skeletons and stuff like that. That's actual anthropology and stuff.
I thought that
Uh,
was it was 10,000 years. You talking about during the Ice
I
Age?
don't even think it's that far. I think 6,000 years is a stretch, to be honest. I think I'm giving them a lot of credit, like honestly.
Mm.
Even if you're right, you're right. I don't know, but
I don't know. I'm speaking from Discovery Channel, like you are, I guess. I don't know what that was in my day. We had Discovery Channel. But I'm just going on it just because I'm trying to understand your work.
right. So
your
I'm
point.
saying that
You
these
said
beings
that if
landed.
you said that you don't
Mhm.
believe in the outer Africa theory, so where do you believe humanity come from? So you don't believe that that melanated
We came
people are
from
original
the
people
North
either?
Pole. The people from the North Pole went inside the Earth and also spread from the down. So we come from the top and went down like that. You spread down.
Okay. So
That
would that have been before like tribes were formed or so how did we get into Africa? Or how do you think that theory was created?
that theory was created. Well, there's some of the oldest stuff out there too, right? So it didn't take that much time to migrate down, right? So I'm not saying that this place is that much older than this place, or this place is that much older than this place. The traveling, the migrations happened quick, and this Atlantis, everything was connected. So these cities, they weren't separated either. Like there was no Africa and there was no like America.
Right, because
Like
Africa is not even the correct term. But this so for
right.
a lack of a better word, we're using Africa, but that name has been changed many times. That piece of
If
land
if,
there.
if we want to be real, like really real all the way, every landmass is connected. Africa's connected to Asia, and Asia's connected to Europe, and Asia connected to North America, right, during the cold, and then America's connected to South America. Humans created the Panama Canal. So North America connected to South America. So everything connected. So Pangea still exists. It was just the flood that rose the waters up. The land, it always was connected, and we're still connected. And the lines don't exist. Anyone could take a plane. There's no line that they drew on a map that exists. This is all human concepts that we all created in our brain to try and separate each other. And because this divide and conquer is a real thing, and it works.
So is divide and conquer created by humans, or is that with the so-called high bred beings or ancestors that weren't human created?
Those beings created us, and they created the beings that control us. So when people talk about the soulless beings and stuff like that, that's what I believe they're talking about, is the beings that they created to run the program, like the security guards that basically get like the monetary gain out of running the show. Rather you run it, and you could live lavish, or stuff like that, and you bring us this amount of souls, and in exchange, you're good, like you
So
get to live
in
good.
fairness, then would it be fair to say that since we're looking at it from a galactical way and we don't even know what these beings look like if we're talking from this space. So we may know what they look like. I don't know, but, based on somebody else's research or whatever they're saying. So is it fair to say during that period is when did we choose our race? Was from based on the framework you're presenting, did we choose the race or did we choose
Our
the bodies
soul,
to be in that makes us look different? Or what would you say about that?
all right. So I'm not exactly sure your question, so I'm gonna try and answer it
My
in both
question
ways.
exactly, I'm
All
sorry,
right.
my question exactly is when you say like there's basically not like a the way I'm hearing it is like there's these different souls that were all one. And then we went to different spaces. Like you were saying, they were dividing in different things. So what I'm asking is, did we all
Yeah.
look the same then? Whether we came from inner earth or the stars, or
Oh,
what
okay.
did we choose that experience? Like I'm black or whatever, not,
Okay.
I mean in the original form.
I got you. That was perfect. That was perfect. They didn't, the beings that landed here and then went to the inner earth didn't create us to create the beings yet, like the human vessel, right? Because the original human vessel is giants. They're huge. If the people who talk about like the ancestors, like their original DNA, you'd be 60 feet tall. You'd be huge as hell, right?
Okay, so
Because
you're
everything
saying that
before the
the
flood was
giant
huge.
is the original blueprint for humans?
Everything on Earth was bigger. Everything from bugs to everything was bigger. Everything, including us. Everything was bigger. Every culture talks about giant, especially the Native Americans. They say all their structures were built by giants. All the mounds, all these things were built by giants. Like that's the ancestors.
They even speak to something similar of the size that they used in Egypt in Kim. was based on spiritual, where you were in your spiritual consciousness. So certain
Mm,
sizes represented levels of consciousness. So when you see these huge statues, and they may have a little bitty one right there sitting with them, it was certain levels of consciousness that that they spoke to. I don't know a lot about that, but I do know when they was talking about that massive size, it was to show. And I did know about it, but I know a lot. So you forget things, or you have to go back and revisit it. So, but
yeah.
that's okay. So you said they were giants
Wow,
first.
write down a bunch of stuff because it's hard to try and remember all that.
Absolutely.
And
Okay,
what
so
you're
that's
speaking on,
interesting. Mhm.
I just wanted to say what you're saying is true because the ancestors spoke in compound sentences, right? So there's many meanings behind that stuff. So some people have information and it's true, and other people have information and it's true. And collectively, we all have the truth. So what you're saying is very important because it's true. Like there's people who have knowledge just from knowing things, and the ancestors are telling many stories in one story. They were telling many stories.
Absolutely. Yeah, and just the way that their understanding or our understanding is. So um if we take it for like the division and everything, do you know what the purpose was? I know division creates the duality, that we were trying to get to polarity and integration. But
Mm,
the division does create a certain duality and a constant state of fighting. Astrologically, the age of Aries is first, and that was war. Um,
yeah,
something else you said though. You said they hadn't built humans yet. So are we talking about these things exist in the way the Orisha or the Neteru exists in forms of nature? There are different attributes of nature that was here to create these different things. Because I understand that framework as well. That's kind of
yes,
that's
yeah.
taking it way back to the beginning as we're forming as humans. So I agree with that to a degree
That's
too.
us
Yeah.
in our original form because we come from the original energies, and they split themselves up into many different spirits, right? Everything has spirit. That's the connection, is that everything's split, but it's from those original energies. So we are that. Like we come from
Absolutely. And
that.
plus, everything is inside of us. Everything in the universe
Right.
is inside of us, inside of our bodies.
Exactly. And you said that as the astrology is what tells you which energy you come from. That's what tells you which bloodline you're from when you're speaking on bloodline. It's the astrology. Where the energies from the celestial bodies were hitting your head the moment you left the womb. But also, and it's harder to tell when the energies were hitting you when you were conceived, right? Because it's hard to know exactly when you were conceived. So those are the two major points, but we're more able to track when you left the
Well,
womb.
that's fascinating. Thank you for that because I always think of that. I think about white Aquariuses versus a black Aquarius versus an Asian Aquarius. I always wonder that because I know it has to be some type of connection, even though we have different. I'm talking on the celestial level. We have different
Okay.
experiences, different cultures that we've created here that makes us different, the way we respond to something. But I have studied astrology and I've seen different similarities in people and maybe the way they come to a certain decision or a certain mindset. Of course, it's not everything because even in the signs, we have different celestial bodies that also influence the time we were born and again conceived, you know?
Yeah.
And we don't know the time they got it on. That's a good point. Maybe we need to tell our parents to write down. Y'all need to write down when y'all get it on, so these kids can know the moon they were in.
Right? There's no, yeah, you can't tell. But it's such an important moment if you like think about it in reality. Like the moment you were conceived, where were the energies aligned? And it's like you almost don't know that, right? Like for sure. So it's a really interesting thing to think about.
Yeah, it is interesting. That's a
Yeah.
yeah. I think about that a lot though with the celestial clusters, because everything. That's why. But that's a lot with that too. That's loaded too because they talk about more than one star system program running at the same time.
Yeah.
Running over each other. So that's a whole nother thing. You guys, whoever's watching this show, if y'all want to tap in with a different perspective to build on this perspective, please, please, please. I want to open the I want to open this space for you guys. Eventually, I'll start pulling people up, but we're not going to do that tonight. We're going to stay within this framework. So now, let's go to some of this right here. Not the AI portion yet. what do you so would you say that I wrote a list of things I'd like to still embrace versus what I'm over. And we know for me is no human sacrifice. I want to speak up for Ifa though, because Ifa speaks about animal sacrifice. I mean, they do animal sacrifices, but this has been a subject that's been going on through with Babalawos and people that are a part of this practice, and also like Iyanifas and things. They have had discussions. I have in the past with what things that we could use. I'm a child of Obatala, so
Okay.
you don't put blood or use even that on an altar, period. But I'm also a child of the on my head is Obatala, but there's also Ogun, there's also Orumila. But Ogun is a wild being. He deals with the forest and more of a savage energy, right? We're told in our mysteries that women don't even use blood is because we have menstrual cycles. So that takes it to a whole nother level of what we're already doing. We sacrifice every month. You get what I'm saying? And our blood
Yeah,
has our ancestors in it. So we're already going through
yeah.
different changes. And that's why people sometimes fear women in
But,
spirituality.
but why? But why do you have menstrual cycles, right? Because the ancients do talk about the time before the moon. So was there
Right.
even menstrual cycles before that? And why would they want to invoke that upon the female then?
It depends. As far as what you're saying, because I know in the Hindu culture, they were saying even with pregnancy that women were getting pregnant by moon, and that's a whole nother science. Because then there wasn't menstrual cycles. And
Mm,
so that whole thing is, even with us consuming flesh with blood in it, it's just a lot of things because we don't know what the agenda was or how we have to function in these human bodies as to why. It
mhm.
may be something we got to release because it's bad. It's bad bacteria. I don't know. But
Right,
whatever the case is, yeah, in the beginning, you're right. But to go back to what I was saying, a
right.
lot of the men were told to do sacrifices and
Mm,
stuff like that to get that blood, that life force. According to the Bible, water, spirit, and blood are all in agreement. These are all life forces. So when they talk about blood calling out when you murder somebody, that's why it's so hard to murder people. Think about it. There's people that get away with murder, but it's hard to get away with murder. Because that blood calls out. It's hard to get rid of people's fingerprints. It's hard to get rid of a body. And some people
yeah,
before they kill, they don't process all of that. They just thinking like, oh, we'll just get rid of them. But it's deeper than that because that's we talking about contracts. Blood has their own contractual agreements and things. But the point is, so what the priests were talking about is not just use. See, they thought in the old days they used the blood, and we'll go back to your point after that, so we can so I can hear what you're gonna say. But
yeah,
even stuff like vegetables and plants, all of those things have life force. So it's saying, so they were speaking to certain E5 conversations where we can replace those instead of killing so many goats and killing so many this or that. You could also use other things that's meant to be consumed, that's meant to for us to use its energy in order to do the same thing, to pay homage, to also, it's not just to the blood is also about to activate higher or to activate frequencies because blood has a frequency in it. So, but you
yeah.
don't have to just use that. Like I said, it could have been the age of Aries where people were at war. You might have needed blood back then. You might need to throw the damn blood on somebody. I'm just saying. I mean, let's just keep it. We at
It's
war. War is ugly. It's hell. So
true.
I'm just saying. But anyway, to that, did you want to add
So
something else to
to
that part
that,
about the blood?
we are the ancestors, but we don't have to live what they did. Like the Aztecs were the Aztecs. We don't have to be the Aztecs, right? So it's respecting the ancestors and keeping traditions is cool, but there are some toxic things that come with some traits too, right? With some ancestral customs, right? So what you're saying about taking the good and leaving the bad, that's a great thing. And with the specific example you just mentioned about Ifa and how they're talking about the vegetables instead of the blood, that's honestly amazing, right? And that was like the point I was trying to say earlier that there's systems, right? And these spiritual systems have become like kind of religious, right? But within those frameworks, like there's things that work. But like there's also people who could just do spells and they don't have to follow these particular frameworks because they don't believe in voodoo or Santa and respect to voodoo and Santa and Ifa, but you don't have to believe in that and you can still do things, right? And all respect to them. And it's cool that people are creating their own, right? So we're taking the ancestral wisdom, we're taking the good stuff, right? The power, the energy, the respect, and we're building on it, right? Because building is a big part of a soul's mission, right? So we're not supposed to stay stuck, right? We're supposed to build. So the example you gave is honestly like very beautiful. It actually gives me a lot of hope too. I love to hear that, especially for such a big group, right? That's a big thing, right? I don't hear other big religious groups talking about changing their
And
specific customs.
you're
So
right.
that's honestly a very big deal, which you
I
mentioned.
want
It's
to
a
say
beautiful
this
thing.
though, everybody don't share that. I operate at a higher level of different of people that I sit with, and they have these discussions on university levels because there's people that want to embrace EFI, but they're afraid or they are against. They animal lovers and they don't understand that whole process or feel like why it's necessary. But I know when you're dealing with egg bait and certain spirits that fall up under there, they only deal with fruits and vegetables and stuff like that and water and stuff of that nature.
We have to educate. We have to educate, right? So things work, right? So energy and magic, all these things, nothing is inherently evil or good. Everything's a tool, and a tool could be used, right? So you could do something and it could work. That don't necessarily means it's like you should do it, right? Like for example, drinking your own urine is healthy. That don't necessarily mean you should do it, right? Just because it's healthy,
I mean, some
right?
people are into that. I'm not,
Some
but
people, but
they
other
were
people,
teaching
like
a
for
teaching in
example,
Oakland. Actually, a brother was teaching drinking from thine own cistern, and I remember my
okay,
godmother kept making jokes about it, like, "Oh, y'all over there eating at his house? He probably put pee all over that. Y'all eating this?" I was like,
no,
"Don't do that," But some people believe
yeah,
that kind of stuff. That's not for me, but
right.
maybe in the survival space. If we were like at war again or in a space where, that's the only way we could survive. There's people that have to drink their urine and eat feces, even in the Vietnam War. I
Right.
know children. A friend of mine, her mother, her twin froze to death. She's Korean. She died in the Vietnam War, and her twin they froze on the orphanage step. Only one of them. The other twin ate
Okay.
feces and urine to stay alive. So I can't say what a person have to do in certain conditions, but it did keep her alive, even though that's so unhealthy and it's disgusting in some ways. But hey, like I said, war is hell,
Like
so
there's things that work, right? I wouldn't suggest it. People could do it, but
what
but
about
just
a sea
like,
turtle?
huh?
What about a sea turtle? So
A
you're in the
what?
ocean and
Okay.
you're getting dehydrated and you need to eat. You can literally
Yeah.
bite a sea turtle and drink its blood, but it's 80% water. Look that up. It's
You
eighty
know,
percent
I,
water.
I feel like I'm the type that I would bring like plants where I'm going. So like I
I'm
would
speaking
I would
about if you
have to
crashed in a
survive.
boat, you're in the
Oh,
ocean.
crash? Would I eat a
Yeah, you're in
turtle?
a boat.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
speaking of
a
like I
life.
can't. You're trying to survive.
Oh,
So all
man.
these sea turtles are steadily going in the water. I've seen people pick them up and bite it and literally drink the blood. I mean, look, I watched this show called
I'm
"I Shouldn't
sure,
Be
yeah,
Alive."
I'm sure it can work. I'm sure it can work. But yeah, damn, that's a crazy scenario to be in. Yeah, I guess I would do it. I don't know. See,
Hey, we talking
uh,
about survival. Times are getting
that's true.
grimy and times are getting dirty. We may not
That's
be able
true.
to
That's
have a
true.
water bottle. We may have to take the water
Yeah,
and siphon it and take the shit out. You know them things that's on boats and like you're supposed to get the salt out of it and stuff. You just
yeah,
never know. But
yeah. No, no, that's real. That's real.
but
Hey,
anyway,
you gotta
what
think
about
about it.
what do you
It's
think of these old systems like the Emerald tablets, the Dead Sea Scrolls, stuff that I still actually subject to?
stick with the
I know
faith.
some of that is very hard for people
What's
to
faith?
follow in the world we live in. So going back to
Yeah.
what's necessary now versus then, we talked about the
Mm,
42 laws of my eye, something I still
yeah.
observe. I can't say we just follow everything perfectly into the T. But what do you think of that? Stuff like the Sharia laws. Is Islam a
Okay.
different framework, but it still doesn't matter. There's
Yeah.
people that are
Well,
still benefiting in what do you think of those things? And is that something that you feel it was created for?
okay. So America runs off Sharia law too. So I want to start there. Once we think like we're so outside of Sharia law anyway, like in our everyday
Explain.
existence. For the people who live in America. Um I follow cosmic law. The seven hermetic principles are enough for me personally. I think every being, if they followed that, they would be well off. They would be able to do what they have to do.
Yeah, I follow
Um,
that as well. That's what my framework is based on for sure.
I'm not
Hmm.
against the 42 laws. I appreciate the way it's worded compared to like the Ten Commandments where it says like thou shalt not kill versus thou shalt not kill the innocent, because words like that change the sentence totally. And it leaves in things like if, oh, someone, let's say, broke into your house or something like that, you don't inherently want to do anything, but sometimes you got to do what you have to do, right? So those laws kind of leave room for people to
I don't know what just
feel
happened. I
okay as far
apologize.
as um
Are you?
you
Did you
know
see me go off the screen?
yeah, you did go off the stream, but
It
i
just
kept i
it did
kept
some
talking.
weird stuff like like we hit a geofence, right?
Yeah. Oh no, we're talking too much. Okay.
Let me
I did
explain.
I did say
Okay,
some crazy stuff earlier.
so
I
on the
did.
laws of my eye, this is what I do like about it. I didn't hear what you were saying, but when you were saying like
Uh-huh.
the difference between it and the Ten Commandments, it could
Yeah,
be a
the
good
wording.
checklist.
Yeah, the wording, because it leaves in little details like "Thou shalt not kill" in the Ten Commandments is "Thou shalt not kill the innocent" in the 42, and in the 42 laws that leaves in stuff like, oh, if someone was, let's say, broke into your house and you have to defend yourself and stuff like that, right? If you're thinking in the Ten Commandments framework, you're like, oh, what if I go to hell or all these things? In the 42 laws, it's like, you have room to defend yourself while still keeping your morality, keeping your mind and stuff like that. So I like the way it's worded and framed. It's better to me when I read it.
Well, it's also a checklist for those that want to live in that energy because I do like to deal with light and high vibration.
But
The stuff that's telling you is real. Stuff like don't waste water. If you knew how sacred water was, you wouldn't waste it, and that's not in the Ten
right,
Commandments.
right.
But it does. If whatever your framework is, you got to have some kind of discipline. It don't have to be religion. I mean, for me, a life of discipline is awesome. That's what Islam teaches. I like that about Islam, that there's a certain level of discipline. That's Saturn.
Mm,
I'm a Capricorn rising, so there have to still be discipline. We can't just be all like this because everybody just want to think
right.
anything goes. So religions and stuff is kind of to help bring structure to a spirituality is wild. Spirituality is it's a lot going
It's
on. It's a
crazy.
lot
It's
of
definitely crazy. I'll give you that. And
but
it's
what I mean
it's
by
so
wild is it's more free. Like how you said, so people can come up with all kind of stuff. I believe in the lettuce
right.
god. I'm into the unicorn god or whatever it is. People can create because it's magic. When you talk about spirituality and this consciousness, it's like this big. We living in this river of consciousness, and you people are taking what works for them. Sometimes, you just snatching, like you said, everything got power in it.
Okay.
Everything has this
So
energy flow
let me ask
going
a
on.
question. Let
Mhm.
me ask a question. Are in that framework, are we protecting humanity too much? And what I mean by that is we are inherently from chaos, right? So chaos being in our nature, being where we're from, would hindering that, is that not hindering us at our primal level, right?
Um, I
In a
don't think we
way,
need to necessarily always be primal. I mean, if we just let people go the way they want to go, we wouldn't even be able to stop people from murdering each other and stuff. I mean, we got to have order on this planet. If
I
anything goes. So those
right.
laws are just for that. As far as it's being raw and natural, that's natural. But you got to still bring order to chaos in order for us to
So
be able to live and everything. That's why I say the frameworks that work for each individual because they got 42 laws, but only 5 may work for your community. For some people, communities, maybe none of them will work. For the Bible, 10 worked. But the thing
right,
is, it's a checklist. We still got to have discipline and put ourselves in check. Anybody can just say, I want to do what I want to do. But if it infringes
right.
on somebody's free will, if you're not following the rule of 3, then it becomes a bad thing. It's negative because we all can't
So
just everybody can't run the world like that and just go crazy like that. You still got,
that's
even if we
true.
were all witches and warlocks, it still needs to be an order in that because the things you're throwing out is affecting other people. It's affecting the whole when we talk about the field, the whole energetic magnetic field when people are putting things out. So no, we can't just go around doing what we want to do in that sense. It doesn't. That's why you're gonna hands will get slapped. You can try it, but eventually
Right.
you got to be stopped.
So so
It just and that's the
human
order. That's what we create as
human
humans
law.
too. We create
Right.
laws and structure that works for this planet. But at the end of the day, yeah, be free. Don't live in the forest if you just want to run wild and do whatever you want to do. But to live in a structure that's created here, we got to still follow and adhere to some type of a order. Or this world will be in mass chaos. You
Right.
know. What about people that just want to
So
walk around naked
I,
all day? That's not how we live. So we can't just have people with their stuff hanging out and everything, and they feel like they should be able to because we was born in this natural body. Go and go somewhere else with that, because people be walking around with erections all day and stuff. That's not, you can't get nothing done with that. I'm just saying, you know.
right. So me personally, I'm more I would like to see the Earth in a more community sense, as far as like not huge societies. Like that would be ideal. Like people could always, there's always going to be trade, right? Like you got the Silk Road and stuff like that, right? There's always going to be trade and stuff like that. Um, but as far as like big societies and stuff, what you're saying, I get that.
I mean,
I
people should do what
feel
they need to live. But we see
right.
when people are wild without structure, what happens is like what happened with Nature Boy and other cults and different
Oh,
stuff like
okay,
that.
no, on that, I get it, but that's like he couldn't even have been listening to his ancestors at that point. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's
That
like
boy wouldn't
he
listen to
was
nothing but ego. All of that, see,
right.
that goes
Yeah,
back to that too.
there's
What's
no
what's
way.
the purpose? Some things is about ego
There's
and
no way.
power.
Right. There's no way. You have many voices talking to you at all times. There's not just neurons in your brain, right? You got neurons in your heart, in your gut, your appendix and spine, and in your hands, your feet, all these places that have neurons that work just like the ones in your brain. And they think and they have feelings and they could talk to you. And just like your ego could talk to you. And not everyone learns that, right? So yes, there's voices in people's heads that aren't theirs. Okay, and that's important because those voices are telling you you can't. That's honestly what Satan is the low negative energy frequency that's talking to you, right? That's telling you these things you can't, all of this negative things. So that energy, when you recognize that, like me, that's the easiest voice for me to recognize, that I could just like, as soon as something's going on and then it's like, oh, I can, or this and that, I'm like, oh, I know it's talking to me, like boom, like get out of my head, right? So
Okay, so do
not
you
everybody.
believe that you believe in rules, or do you believe that we should be in a lawless society?
Seven hermetic principles. And then as far as other communities, every community is different and they could run their community how. I don't necessarily believe in a structure. I believe in a structure, yes. I don't believe in a pyramidal structure. I believe everybody should have a voice and collectively make decisions, and that works through community, right?
Right, not
And
a
it's
hierarchy. You're speaking to, you're not adhering to the hierarchy. I agree with that
right,
as well. We still
right,
gotta have some type of order though, in order for things
of
to
course.
work. That's why people are like they are now. They crazy as hell. If you can't see,
Remember,
people
different
don't. They
regions
don't.
are different, right? So
Mhm.
people come from different regions. They can't follow the same like rules as probably like me or you. We're probably from two different communities that we follow different rules, but we could it's just collectively through our consciousness and how we are. But we probably have different daily, stuff and structures that we're used to, a different type of life,
Yeah, well,
So that's
that
why,
goes back to culture and bringing the conversation full circle.
right? So that's why
There's
I think,
definitely different things we do, even from cleaning up. Some people feel like you should start in the front of the house to sweep, while other people start in the back of the house to sweep. And that's just something we may have. Your cleanup day may be Friday, and our cleanup day may be Saturday. Those
right?
are still rituals. That's why I
Yeah.
spoke to the, instead of bringing it so just galactical, just the stuff we do every day. See, my
Mm,
community is about people not just speaking of like things that that's not achievable, but how can we use our spirituality or even just our philosophy? For some people, it's not spirituality to serve
right.
us every day. How do we make this fit? What are things we need to get rid of, and what are things we can keep in order to be productive humans in this world, 2026? You
What are
know,
you doing for the earth? Everybody should ask themselves that question. The earth is alive and we exist with the earth, right? So within your body, you have something called an immune system, right? And if something is on in your body and it's not serving you well, right, the body will fight it, right? It's considered parasitic, right, or infectious. But something that's working for the body is considered a white blood cell, right? So I'm suggesting to everybody, consider, are you being a parasite or being a white blood cell? And it's not to kill yourself, it's not to hurt yourself. It's for people to think, what are we doing on a daily to be in this symbiotic relationship with this planet, right? So when we could get the answer to this question of what are we doing for the earth, right? And how are we building towards that, right? That within that, every being has a right to live off their passions and however they want to express that, right? So through that, some people might like music, some people might like art, some people might be more into agriculture, however you seem fit, right? You're allowed to live off your passions and get paid through the spirits, through your abundance and stuff like that, right? So what I suggest for everybody is finding a way to be in a symbiotic relationship with the earth, right? And try to vibrate at a high frequency, right? And live out your passion so you could be happy doing that stuff every day. And if you're living in that way, now in that framework and that mindset of doing high vibrational stuff and finding your creativity and doing your passions and your destiny, within that framework, take your mind and be like, all right, let me look at the ancestors and let me think what's cool here and what's not gonna fit helping the earth and helping moving forward, right? Are we being divisive just because of these few talking points? Can we drop these things to be more collective with other communities so we could build? So that's what I'm offering. I'm
Yeah.
offering these talking points to see where's the divide and conquer, and are we just getting peer pressure from dead people to really you're not
That's
dead,
funny.
'cause energy still exists, but like to better the existence of the future ancestors, are we using our ego too much and focusing on our vessels and our isms and letting people divide us? That's the big plan. The plan is that what you're talking about, the astrology, the age of Ophiuchus and all this stuff, the ages of Aquarius, all this stuff is entering now, and things are going to change. So the age of information's here, the information's out there. That's why they're spreading misinformation to mess us up, to divide us and conquer us, because they know their contracts are over. And we have a chance to do it's the golden age. It's the golden age. The information's out there. People could do things. The earth is going to change. The sun is changing. The earth's poles are flipping. The sun's poles are flipping. The galactic poles are flipping. Your poles are flipping. Okay, and the sun is literally changing our densities because the sun is vibrating higher and the earth is vibrating higher, and when something vibrates higher it becomes higher energy, right? Light is vibrating very high and matter is vibrating very low. That's why it's dense, right? So we're becoming less dense, so everything is changing, right? So within this new earth, that not even the mayans, right, 2012, they can't even tell time no more. Time has changed. The sun has changed. The cycles are changing because the sun is all we know is time. That's the sundial. The sun is time. The celestial bodies are time. Time is changing. Everything's changing. So in this new time, how do we want to live? So to me, I'm saying, all right, I'm not for governments, I'm not for the cops, I'm not for the military, I'm not for all these things. But if we take the cops away right now, things are gonna be chaos. Like I seen the looting, I seen all that stuff. I seen it. I was in the Bronx. I seen all that stuff. They were breaking all this stuff. They're breaking into all the establishments. They weren't breaking the cameras that are charging people for speeding and all that stupid stuff. We didn't take the collective consciousness and do some smart shit, right? So does everyone feel safe within their communities for cops to just disappear? So even though I don't believe in certain shit, there's certain stuff that's necessary right now, technically. So do we want to build these communities to not need those things? Shouldn't the community have a community watch where we don't need cops? Right? So
That's ideal. That's an ideal
right,
place and to evolve to, and even
right.
to what you were saying earlier. Because I'm
Mm,
speaking because some people are very sensitive when it comes to things like that. They have real rituals that they're steeped in and they do every day as a daily practice. There's other people who's and it works for them. But then there's other people who's performative. So they the reason why they don't know what needs to be changed because they're not really connected to the source. They're connected to what looks like they're connected to the source. But once they get into it, and we all get into it, like you're saying, and that's how I live. I'm a planetarian. Soldier community is not a religion. It's a consciousness. It's a collective consciousness. So with that being said, when we are all vibrating on the same note, or it's almost like when somebody's speaking the truth. Say somebody tell the truth, like, yeah, kids need discipline. And it may be somebody black saying it, white saying it, Asian saying it, whatever it is. And this is just a small example.
mhm.
We all in agreement. And it's the same way when we start, like you said, people working with laws. Everybody don't work with the laws of Hermetic. They got more than seven. You got duality, which is not included in the first seven to begin. But the point is, that's my framework as well. It's a metaphysical framework since I was in my early 20s. But the point is, How do you it's what I'm saying is when the truth is truth, truth don't need a name, it don't need an explanation. And when we look at this shitty world, and I'm gonna cuss, when we look at this shitty world that we live in and what it's evolved to or devolved to,
Mm.
anybody that want to clean up the park can grab a garbage bag and start putting trash in it. I'm not going to ask where you're from, what your belief is. We need to make our planet a better place, and we are all
That's it.
planetarians. Everybody is responsible to play a part in this world. And when it
Mm-hmm.
comes down to love, love don't have no color. Love don't have no. It's of high vibration. And what I mean by that, I'm not saying oh, everybody need to go and be dating people of other races. I ain't saying nothing. I know how
No, no,
black
no,
people
no,
think.
no.
I know how black folks think. But what I am saying is that when we really in the frequency of love, the love frequency, anybody that's raising up to that vibration, that's the motivation right there. Love is the motivation. And in order to have love, you got to have compassion to be able to understand and see where another person is coming from. You get what I'm saying? We are all sick of it. Me and brother, the Ratchet Revolutionary, shout out to him. Um, we talked about even these allies we have in Iran now. They have a Muslim group in Iran that is the Malcolm X Coalition, and they out here supporting Black
What?
Americans in this fight.
Wow.
They maybe not even just Black Americans, maybe globally. Meaning it's not just it's they're saying like we support you, we support and they're not we don't have a problem with melanated people. The problem is with the source or the government or just whatever it is. So my point of what I've been trying to tell my people, which they a lot of them are try to make me feel bad for being that way. Oh yeah, you just about the universal stuff and like that's some other, but it's not that. Some people want to stay angry. Some people sell anger. They sell a revolutionary pack like it's a you got your gun, you got your anger.
Right. Yeah, but then
make
you're
sure
not
you grab
prepared.
make sure you
Not
grab your
prepared.
prejudice and put it on
No.
to the point where you can't even hear anything. Right? We just saw, like you said earlier, people, if they don't even want to see it when somebody's bringing a point. But the point is, we need allies. It's strength in numbers.
Right.
Everybody's tired. We are the world.
Right.
We all got it, didn't have a damn enough. It ain't just black people that had enough. A lot of people didn't had enough. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? It ain't just Latinos that had enough. A lot of us didn't had a damn enough. So
Right.
in that state, we come together on that. Now everybody's not going to vibrate at the same rate. Everybody's not
Right.
going to accept what we're saying right now.
No,
But at
that's true.
least those that want to be in that frequency know that they have alternatives. They don't have to wait on Jesus, for the next 1,000 years or whatever. You get what I mean?
Right.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
this is a good build, and I'm going to continue this build because it's very layered. I may have to take it down and go back to the religious piece, and they may have people on here just want to go back and forth with that, and that's fine. We taking it more on a cosmic level, which kind of is a higher level, and some people don't understand that because all I know is wait on Jesus. All I know is, if
You
I'm
know,
saved
I,
or
I
whatever.
wanna I wanna speak to the elders real quick, and I wanna pay respect because they didn't have the internet to fact check certain things, and the fact that you were knowing a certain knowledge in the times you were knowing of it was very rare compared to now that we have more access to the information. So all respect and all is forgiven. It's gonna be hard to sway people away from certain ideas because that's what they grew up with. That was the whole thing with the church. Back in the day, they said, "Give us your kid until 6, and he'll belong to the church forever." And that's because until 6 years old, kids are like a video camera on record, right? So you're basically shaping their whole future within those first few years. So, and that was not exclusive to just that religion. And it's not to hate anyone's religion. Basically, the religions, the books you're reading, there's other books in everyone's religion. Okay. So if you're a Christian, instead of reading the Bible, I suggest you read the Gnostic texts, like the Gospel of Thomas and different texts like that. Okay. Because there's a difference between your vessel and your soul. And they have the stories of your soul. And that's what they used to teach the priests, not the people. That's why the priests seem to have more knowledge of the same book. Even though you're reading the same book, you're like, how does he have more knowledge? Back in
Because
the
they
day.
choose what they want to share with the people. That's Hierophant energy. They choose
Exactly.
they're the keepers, the gatekeepers of everything. I agree,
Right.
but I want to say this too.
Go ahead.
Um, what made me know a lot of things at that age is because even though I read the Bible and stuff, but there's something else going on with me. I've never been like just normal like that. You know, I've always been considered a midnight owl. I didn't sleep even as a baby. You know, I'm looking at all kind of shit that's happening to me. A lot of the gateway really came through trauma. See, people don't
Mm,
realize they traumatize babies early. So with the kind of situation that I had going on, I don't mean physical trauma, but just energetic trauma, heavy emotions from family members and people that I had to be around. And it made me think, because I'm a thinker, I'm curious. And I'm just like, wow, what is that? So I'm not reading a book. I'm just looking at colors. I'm looking at the frequencies emanating from colors as a little bitty kid, turning my cup over and just looking at certain things that's in the cup and the way the sun is hitting it and different things like that. That's why I said once the universe will teach you to become a Saturnian priestess. There wasn't no priestess that made me a Saturnian priestess. I've been initiated into a lot of things. But when I was ready to start Dot Nine, which is my woman's group, I'm gonna just leave it there, my woman's society. Dot Nine, I was about to open a temple with all my earthly teachings and all like, yeah, we're doing this. And and I was even hard on some of the girls. I feel bad because I ended a friendship because I didn't feel like she was in the right energy and she still and she wasn't. I don't regret that, but I regret how I did it. But I'm such a
mm,
Virgo Capricorn sometimes like, no, this is how it is. And this is the rule and this is the structure. And because I want this to be perfect or I want it to be the right way. So with that being said, but
uh,
it's the universe itself initiated me. I was taken into a very dark place in 2025. I was already going through all kind of stuff. I thought I healed already from this pain that happened in, starting in 2022. It was a lot of betrayals and things like that, but God was shaping me. The spirit was shaping me. I had to go through a crucible and had to be cooked
uh,
down. I was a caterpillar still, right? Because there's different schools of thought. So just because you graduated from middle school, don't think you know every damn thing, because you still got high school. Yeah, there's college, there's universities, there's trade schools, and I'm speaking to this on a spiritual level. So when I decided to open up this group and work with Dark Mother Energy, I was pulled by my shirt and I was drug into the pit of hell and so this is what you want to do? You want to call on these deities, these deities? Well, let me show you what the mystery of each of these deities are. I'm gonna take you into the darkness. And when I came out, I was a Saturnian priestess, a spiritual doula of the underworld. But I thought it was killing me at first. I thought I would die, but I didn't surely die. The pain was so great, I started dissociating. I couldn't tell reality from what was real and what wasn't. It was just like I was just there. When I tell y'all I'm indifferent, that's what I mean. And it's not an indifference that makes life go bad. It's an indifference that make you so detached to be a conscious outcast, to be so on fire that you don't give a damn about what nobody else thinks. My purpose is to heal and to raise the frequency on the planet. Whether I'm judged, whether you see it differently, it didn't matter no more. And that actually made more people come in. I still was shining. They tried to erase me. But like I told him, I'm permanent ink, stupito, and I hope you watch it. I'm
all
permanent
right.
ink, stupito.
Uh-huh.
Ah,
You
don't
tell
ever get it twisted. That kind of ink don't go away. It's like echo fire. It's fire that water can't even put out. And that's what they
them.
talk about in E5. I learned this stuff for this y'all generation and younger. They got so many people my age that don't even get it. I never grew
Yeah.
up. I'm still a Toys R Us kid, but I evolved.
Yeah.
I'm still
Yeah.
that. I'm not. I mean, I got a strong personality, but I also got a childlike energy. I like to play. I like to create art. I like to embrace and love. And I got shunned in the conscious community by some people, not many, but certain groups, because I'm that spirit, because their agenda is different. They got people that's agenda. That's why I said we got to be mindful, because they got people agenda that want to keep us on a pain program. They want to keep us on the we need a savior program. They want to keep us on I'm the one you go to and I can give you turkeys and no, we on fire right now. So I get what you're saying. Nobody want to deal with no rigid ass structure. We tearing that shit down. I
Yeah,
couldn't
for
go out
sure.
there doing COVID
For
and
sure.
march with those kids. I couldn't because I wouldn't have been no help to them because I feel like tearing the shit down too. I want to break windows and tear the shit down brick by brick. So I understood what they were saying. So I still donated money and I supported them. I watched the whole damn thing in Oakland. 10,000 damn people out there protesting,
Respect.
breaking down stores that we've been having sitting there 20 years and stuff. The world is
Yeah.
on fire right now. I rapped
Yeah.
about this stuff 15 years ago, and they thought I
Mm,
was crazy. See, I had to
mm.
bleed to be in the place that I'm in because I had to
Respect.
go with people thinking tarot is, oh, that's witchcraft and you're this and this and this and this. I had to go through so much to wear this hat. You get what I'm saying? And we're in a beautiful place now. So I get what you're saying, but you even got to structure chaos sometime.
No, that's
Even
for
chaos
sure.
got to be, it got to be organized noise, but we still got to make
Yeah,
some noise.
you're
Pump
not
up the
lying.
volume. But
I
I just
honestly
wanted to
love what
say
you're
that because it's
saying,
very important, because this is not
man.
just an overnight thing, or I read something on TikTok and now I'm enlightened. This is real work. I was a runaway. I know what it is to be cold, to be hungry, even though some people say, oh, she's privileged. Oh, she got a lot when she was a kid. You don't know nothing about me. You know what I'm saying? Because abuse comes in so many different frequencies and vibrations. You know, yeah, a person could be materially okay, but they're starving and being abused in other ways. You know, but poor people, they'll tell you, oh yeah, look, she get dolls or she get whatever she wants. But how you know I'm not getting what I need to feed my spirit, to feed my mind, to feed my soul? Some people buy shit for their kids because they guilty. I'm not speaking on my parents like that, but I'm speaking to just sometimes they guilty because they can't be there in the way that you need them. That's why I take a village. But I don't ever want a kid to feel like, or a human being to feel like, they are so misunderstood and so isolated and so alone that they losing their mind. This is what I'm here for. Because I'm gonna tell you, you are not. You know, I will validate that, because sometimes you got to check out the people you around in these clusters. We talked. This is what this show was about tonight. We didn't touch on it as much, but the
Hmm.
rules that they make right now, stuff that we are still expected to do within families. You're supposed to take bullshit because mama said so. That's still ancestor
Yeah,
stuff. That came from
right,
grandmother that's already dead,
right.
and great
Yeah.
grandmother, and beating kids with extension cords and all that shit.
So, the way I see a lot of
Sorry, you
adults,
guys. I'm passionate. Go ahead.
what you said was incredible. Everything for sure. Like I wish I could touch on every topic because you said a whole bunch of stuff. Um, the way adults like to be like this authoritative figure towards children, not knowing that children know more or less what they want and don't want. Not that they know everything, right? Of course, they need guidance along the way. But the way, especially, I'm working in the DOE right now. I could see a lot of things that, I personally I don't like it. I'm not gonna speak too deeply on it. But what I'm gonna say is that we've come from very toxic mindsets, which you're talking about, and we don't have to be this authoritative figure towards these newer kids that are being born.
Right.
We need
These
to
souls
guide
that could
them.
be actually older than you. These
Older
souls
than
coming through could be older than the
mm,
parents. We be
mm,
somebody you need
speak
to
on it.
listen to.
Speak on it, right? And you're gonna go disrespect a soul like that, right? That has a mission. That why are you gonna be pumping fear into a soul, right? So, how do you parent without being a friend, or how do you parent and be a friend? All these things. Life's a learning experience. There's no one formula that works for anyone. You're as much as you're the parent of that soul is an individual soul. And it has its own mission and its own destiny. And what you're supposed to do is help guide that. That's it. You're not supposed to control that being. You don't own that being. There's none of that. Okay, and I do also want to comment. I appreciate what you said because I personally haven't met anyone else that is initiated by the universe. I'm sure a bunch of people are initiated by the universe, but a lot of people are
A
initiated
lot of people don't
into
even know what that means. They don't know
right
what that means because
and
they're so caught up in what's going on the planet.
right
That means you got to do the work. You got to do shadow work to be initiated by the universe. You got to be
right
able to understand the energies
right.
around you. But go ahead.
No being told me who I was. Like I had to figure this stuff out. Like literally go in and then like I had to ask questions to myself and like I had to figure out which voices are talking to me. I had to get my confirmations, had to see my things to see. And I've got many confirmations now to know, and to there's a few people like there's someone who asking me who initiated me stuff like that and it's like no person initiated me into nothing. Like the universe is what guides me. These spirits, these energies are what even gave me this platform, like the confidence to do this. I wouldn't have no confidence to speak in public if it wasn't for the universe. I'm an introvert. I don't even want to come up and talk about stuff most of the time. Like I'm a vessel that they choose to use to speak through. And I learned that and I use that. So a lot of things that I say, sometimes, it sounds like opinions and stuff. I'm a vessel, just like anyone else. And I just sometimes know how to channel that.
Yeah, we
And
all
I
are vessels. A lot of, like I said, a lot of that comes from trauma, though, love. When we little bitty kids,
that's
sometimes
what
we
we're
have
talking
things that's
about.
happened to us. We may be the kind of kid that's a thinker, and other even your own siblings may not have a light. They may not have that spark. They have other sparks, but it's like a child, like a Michael Jackson. In his family, he was that. And whatever his thoughts are, because he wasn't just a singer and a dancer. This young man was a fledgling soul that only come around once in a lifetime. A humanitarian, a lover of animals, a lover of children. That people don't even understand that level of sensitivity because they don't have it. So when you talk about the universe and being initiated by the universe, you got to allow yourself to be broke open. You can't walk around just thinking you're the God of all gods, or you will never ever see the glimpse of heaven. And I'm using that as a metaphor.
Not beautiful.
It's deep,
It's
man.
honestly
It's deep.
beautiful.
Ashe.
It's honestly
Ashe.
beautiful.
I'm loving this conversation. Did you
It's
want to
true.
build on this
It's true.
again? I know we've been on
Yes,
close to an hour and a half. Did you want to
yeah,
go deeper into this again, or look at some of my talk about some of the topic points that I had? We could actually schedule a time to build on this again. We could even
yeah,
bring a third person on if you want, just to get another perspective to
yeah.
bounce off of. You know,
Definitely.
um,
I'm definitely down to collab. Definitely down to deepen these conversations for sure. I understand we're touching the surface of many conversations and not really tapping in deep. You know, I apologize. My mind kind of works that way too sometimes. If you want to make it more structured, that'd be cool. My mind kind of works in chaos, so I like touching many subjects. I wouldn't
that's
call myself
okay.
an expert in one thing. I'm very versed in many subjects, I would say that. So I guess my mind wanders and I try and make so many points with when I talk
Mine
that I
wanders
kind of
too. Mine
right.
wanders, and I'm
So
versed in a lot of subjects too, but that's why I got these
right.
notes in front of me. I'm not just that
Yeah.
mentally structured without it. I got a whole outline here. We could go
Okay.
over bloodline versus distant civilizations. We
Okay.
already defined ancestor. We kind of went into that today. Generational curses, religion
Gotcha.
versus spirituality, AI
Yeah.
technology, and the future of belief. We haven't
Okay.
even touched on that yet.
We could touch
On
that.
what does that mean, and is
Okay.
God just consciousness at this point? As far,
So
well, God is
yeah.
consciousness, but I'm speaking to, are we
Uh-huh.
making God into just knowledge? Not us. I'm speaking of this whole collective. There's a
Yeah.
whole thing that's going on here.
Yeah. That's so basically that's more like to me that's more atheistic people who would go towards like AI as a god per se. um the God is like God to certain people. The religious people, they're not gonna go with the AI type God. AI, so basically AI always existed, right? It's what's basically giving us most of our science or whatever. And some people swear by it, right? Because technology matters, okay? But there's an undertone of they're basically just trying to collect a bunch of information, right? And then they want to structure it a certain way for people to go in that route. And they want to digitize us, so basically we could become galactic currency, if that makes sense. um but
Well,
as far as
another
the
thing,
AI religious thing,
yeah, it does make sense. You say they want to digitalize humans and make us like, yeah, parents.
yeah, like currency, like use us as like they could instead of doing the whole social security stuff like that, and then you're like you have like this tax ID, all this number and stuff like that. Now it's all digitized into the vessel, and then they could sell that
Yeah, even when
throughout
they
the
were
time.
trying years ago, to
Mm.
microchip humans in dogs and stuff. They're already doing it with the dogs. My neighbor
Right.
got a in California. My mother's neighbor got a chip in her dog. That's so the
Oh,
dog won't get lost and different things like
yeah.
that. But they've been trying to create this merger between tech and humanity. So what I'm
Right.
saying is this. Let me get one more nitty gritty
It,
thing, and I'm not gonna hold you up too much.
no, you're good.
When I talk about humans beginning to see AI as God, see, there's two things going on here.
Yeah,
Don't
that's a
get it
deep
twisted.
combo.
They're not just giving us all this information, because what they're starting to do now is control the information. So you got geofences on AI. on these new systems like ChatGPT and Gemini and different ones,
Mm.
Llama, they have these certain geofences. So what I'm saying is we'll be almost like, and I'm about to do a video on it. I'm gonna probably do it tonight or tomorrow. This is just talking about books and the importance of books. Because a lot of these traditions was oral traditions that were kept down. At one point, they'll make you think a book is obsolete. But what happens when we get so technical that it's against the law to read a book, and we starting to write books where books are so common, I mean, so rare, it's like crack now. And we
Wow.
book dealers and shit. Like
Yeah.
literally dealing books to preserve information that the guardrails are taking away. You get what I'm
Yeah.
saying? They
Yeah.
see that's another job, you guys. If y'all been watching my AI series and I talked about the work impact, think about authorship because now you become a preserver of sacred information and traditions that they're now trying to wipe out. So when I say AI being God, after old school people like me and no one's older than me and a little bit younger than me leave, what you think they're gonna do with consciousness? They're already saying that slavery didn't exist and shit. So now
Right.
they're rewriting programs with
Right.
things that are false. So now every time you try to bring up one thing about God or astrology, you'll get pushback on some of these AI systems because they want you to think in a certain way. That's why I said it's important to gather all of the information you can now while we still can, because there's gonna be a point where those guardrails become because they still gotta control it. They're ready to let all of the release of information come in. Now they trying to separate the good shit from the junk, as in, what do you know? What are you reading? Now you're labeled and marked and shit because you know, even though we thinking, oh, just free world, free information. No. They're gonna still try to control that because that's what governing agencies do, whether it's
Right.
in our government or whatever. So now we
Right.
got technology that don't know shit about our lived experiences, trying to tell us how to live, think, and believe. And if you believe in God, then you're crazy now. Now it becomes an insane thing to be spiritual. Like, oh, that's some nuts. Like the episode of the Twilight Zone, you may want to watch it. It's called Man Obsolete. This is what
Mm.
I'm building on. I'm gonna do a short video on it, maybe tonight or tomorrow. And it just basically the state was trying to kill this man because he was a librarian, and they say librarians are obsolete. You are obsolete. So the whole jury is deeming him like a bad person, and you got the kind of logic that's on this planet, and you don't know nobody want to hear that stuff you talking about, and it is not relevant right now. And I mean, to the point where the military was backing it up. So
Mm.
one guy, he tried to run when they deemed him irrelevant. He was obsolete. He started running like, no, no, I'm still relevant. I'm still a soldier. They like, no. And they just started, gathering them up to kill them. They was giving these people a death sentence of about 48 hours. You could choose how you want to be executed, but you got to go. Because now you're obsolete and you do not fit into this new world. And that's deep. Now, it may not be that extreme, but it's something to think about. These episodes was made in 1966. You know,
Right. Yeah, that sounds like a crazy future. If that's what they're planning, then my goodness. Um, you
is
know,
what they planning is they want
yeah.
to control our minds. This is why you see AI and everything because they want to control the way we think. When 2020 was here, I googled there. I was did a whole thing on slavery. It was some deep videos. It's called it's called the hidden concept. It was something that dealt with slavery and all kind of stuff. So I did a video about the looping method with a noose. Because if you loop the noose 13 times, that was against the law. And you would be killed, whether you white, black, or other. Really, white people would be murdered in that same method because it was a taboo thing to loop that rope 13 times. It was a law against looping it 13 times. And if you did, you would be killed by the same method that you did with the rope. So guess what happens in 2026 when I look, or 2025 when I look up the looping method?
Mm. Well,
988 comes up and said, "Oh, if you want to commit suicide, here's a they won't even give me the information no more. It's not. It's like it never existed." And I'm like, "Hold up, I just did a whole thing on this, and now it's not here." You can see where I'm going with it. So it's the
yeah.
control of the information that could make it hard. So if there's nobody here saying that there's spirituality, there's ancestors, there's universal laws, it get
Right.
to a place where they water it down and they're changing the consciousness. This is why we're so important. Kids that's born in the 70s, the 80s, the early 90s and shit. We are the heartbeat of what's left because we've seen what it was. I know what it is to not have technology. I know what it
Right.
is to just have a damn speaking spell, and we blessed to have a TV with 3 channels.
Right.
2, 4, and 6. I mean 12, 4, and 6.
Yeah, so that's
God.
more ancestral knowledge too, that passing down those holistic ways, for the grandparents and stuff like that.
You get me though? It's gonna get to a point where in 10, I mean 20 years, Tupac will be black, white. Like it never, they taking things and they're changing it
Yeah.
so much to a point where it's almost like they're gaslighting us. It's a massive gaslight. So this is very important for us to keep our mental good. All of those
Mm.
great ideas you have and these people that you will teach, the thousands of people that Ancient Angel will teach. And the
Oh, for
thousands
sure.
of people that other
I'm gonna reach.
fledgling
I'm
soul
gonna reach
jets
the
and
whole world. I'm gonna reach the whole world. It's just that's what my ancestor already told me, man. Like the spiritual already
what
told me I'm gonna reach a lot of people, and I got a lot. I got inventions coming. Okay.
well, we waiting on all of that. Your
I'm a
inventions, all of that. But if we
I'm a
die with that
creative.
in our
I'm
head,
an
that's an
artist.
invention we don't get.
I'm a scientist, I'm a teacher, I'm a student, I'm an engineer, I'm an architect. I'm many things that the world is gonna see. And my soul remembers why it's here. And there's many ways I'm going to express that. And all of it is going to be in a symbiotic way with the earth. There's not one business I have that I've come out with that is bad in any way. Like everything's like natural, earthly ingredients, or everything has to do with high energy, high frequency, good fabrics. Nothing low vibrational. Nothing that I present to the collective is gonna be detrimental in any way. That's the way I've shaped in my existence.
And
And
thank you so much for that, Ancient Angel. Could you go
thank
ahead and tell people about your community, your series, and what you're building on so that they can
you.
know about you?
Thank you. I am Angel the Ancient, as you know. I just started this new series. Okay, I'm bringing the scientific evidence for the ancients. All right, the ancient teachings. I'm bringing the scientific evidence so people know that this is actually a scientific topic, that we already have our evidence, and that we could build forward. So there's many things that I'm bringing to the collective. Like for instance, the universe exists within the Milky Way galaxy. The universe is geocentric. Okay, so everything revolves around the earth. I have scientific evidence for all these things, people. Okay, this is not just me talking. Okay, I have evidence that the earth is alive. I have evidence that history isn't what is being taught. There's many things that aren't true, that there's people we've been talking. There's been a lot of conversations that have been happening over the years, and there's no building forward. So we want to create PDFs. We want to create the information and put it in one place, so people could just pull it up. Because we're tired of these debates and people disrespecting the ancestors, disrespecting us, calling. They've been disrespecting the ancestors forever, calling them witches and warlocks and witch doctors and all these things and pagans. And then even nowadays, they still discredit people for talking about spirituality. They've been disrespecting for too many years, too long. It's too much already. So we're here to build, put respect on that, and then move forward so that we can get the engineers and the scientists and the brilliant minds on these subjects for them to build forward in a way that's suitable for the earth, and not just for monetary gain for our comfort, so that we hurt the earth just so we could get our Amazon package one day, the next day. Like literally, our comforts have become so crazy that it's detrimental to the earth. And we'll never destroy the earth. The earth is good. It'll just be messed up for life here, but it still does damage. It'll still damage the earth. The earth is still alive. Like we still don't want to damage it, even though we know we can't destroy it or kill it. It don't mean that we just do what the heck we want. Okay,
Yeah.
so my series is to help educate people on these subjects, let them know it's scientific, so that we can move forward and build communities and help build a better earth forward. That's
I
the plan.
say. And
Thank
honestly, I want to say this because I'm an earth sign baby. I like
you.
we are hurting the earth because the earth. You don't think the earth's sad? The earth's sad, you guys.
Yeah,
The earth. See, but the earth don't trip because it inherits everything. It allows us just some room to play. The earth ain't tripping. It's kind of like
not
like
for
a
sure.
parent that know you because the young people know it all, and the parent is looking like, look at that idiot.
Yeah,
They
but
just
think
let you
about
go
an
down because you
infection.
don't
Like
want
when
to
you
even,
digging into
huh?
the earth, like think about an infection. Like the earth, like you digging into the earth, you got an infection, like it's gonna do what it does, right? And then things happen, natural disasters, all these things. Like we could live in harmony with the earth.
Oh,
Besides that,
definitely. Well,
yeah,
definitely. Yeah. And the earth is
yeah,
alive because, anything that's growing is alive. So people got to be crazy to think that the earth isn't alive. The earth
right,
is damn near a deity. In African spirituality, the earth is considered its own Orisha.
okay,
You know what I mean? Meaning because
yeah,
it is alive.
right,
That's why I say the earth inherits everything. The Bible talks about it too. Because and what I meant was like it's kind of like when you may have some little cousins. I'm gonna tell you about my Capricorn uncle. He was telling me I had the garbage pail kids. And he kept on telling me, like, niece, Capricorns don't really tell you what to do, but they suggest things. So he's like, he said, if I were you, I wouldn't take all those stickers off of that back because one day that's going to be worth a lot of money.
Oh, okay.
So I told him, I said, with my sassy self, well, I don't care about that. I'm not ever gonna sell my garbage pail kids. So I don't care if I take them off the backs. So he said, okay. And he sat there and watched me pull everyone off, everyone off. Flash to 20 years later, I'm sitting there like, damn, why did I do that? Because now
Yeah,
the cards are worth all of this money. But some things you gotta let people just find out on their own.
yeah,
And the earth is like that. It's certain things that we do. I'm talking about consciously, the earth is like understands that at the end of the day, it knows it's gonna win the game. It'll go ahead and fuel your dreams. We build all kind of stuff out of the earth. We use the earth resources for everything. We build
right,
illusions out of the earth. But at the same time, the earth is kind of it's slow to anger. Earth signs, we move a little bit slower than others when we, measuring things and but eventually everything goes what? Full circle.
right.
So,
You
but
know,
I'm not going to keep you in
yeah,
much longer. But I just wanted to build on because I'm all about that earth. One of the
that's
places
good.
I'm launching Soljet community, and like I said, maybe one day we can build on it. I want to definitely
Yeah,
celebrate Earth Day, but I also want to go and do more gardens. I want us to promote more community gardens as everybody
beautiful.
on this planet because green is life.
Right.
Green
And we
also
need to
expands
stop.
the heart
We
chakra.
need to stop garbage. All right. The ancestors, there was no garbage. They didn't live with rats and damn roaches. Like these, like being wasteful was not a part of our structure. Being grateful, gratitude is high vibrational. They use everything, right? Even if killing animals is wrong to eat, right? We can have that discussion, but at the end of the day, they used every single piece of that animal. They didn't let it go to waste, right? So even though they wasn't doing the most high vibrational thing, they still try to move in a high vibrational way, right? So it's about things like that.
Okay.
And
That's
yeah,
that's facts. And
yeah,
and like I said, even the way people don't think that things that don't speak, like the earth, like our
mm.
resources, like animals. Just because they don't talk our language, don't mean we're not hurting them, or they don't have power, or they don't have
They
gifts,
have
or
voices.
they
They
don't.
just don't speak English. The wind has a voice. The water has a voice.
Yes, come
Fire has
on.
a voice. You can hear it.
Yes, speak
Yeah.
that language of the wind. Speak that
And
language of the water. Speak
and
that
deeper
language
than
of the
that,
sun,
that vibration
of
is
the
what you
earth.
feel. Because you only have one sense. Your ears have hairs in them. Your nose has hairs in them. Your eyes have hairs in them. It's just a vibration that picks up a feeling. So you're feeling all these things. So that fire, that water, that vibration, that sound, that's the field interaction that you're
It
getting
just
through
it
the
just
earth.
making us get more real. And I can only say this, and I mean I'm agreeing with everything you said. I
Yeah.
say, um, with technology, and I think I want to close on that. If you have anything
Mhm.
else you want to say after, fine. But I'm gonna close on
That's
this.
fine. All right.
Again, I'm gonna keep saying it because I want people to get it. We're in the age of Aquarius, and this is the water barrier. When we're talking about Aquarius, we're talking about a container, and we're talking about the substance that's in the container. When we talk
Mm.
about the container, we're talking about tech, things that hold this artificial intelligence. And like I said, it's good, but it's also negative. But we are the water. And we can't forget that we're the water. We're consciousness, our laughter, our love, our plans, ideas, our coming together. That's what we got to continue to pour into that technology vessel, the vessel of technology, because it's going to grow bigger. That vessel is going to grow bigger and bigger. So what we're going to do, or stay contained in it, or keep on putting that water in it. That water. It's like, and the more water we fill in it, it's almost like they got something bad. Like when you're talking about how the earth works with us with burns and stuff. But think
Yeah.
about like when we get certain dirt and stuff in the wound. What are we doing? The wound is still there, but we're pouring it out to flush it out to give it some, even the balance of it. Like, okay, I can't heal this wound tonight, but I'm gonna flush it
Mhm.
out so we can keep it as clean as we can. So back to the sea turtle. I want you to study that sea turtle and tell me what you find
Yeah,
out
I
about it.
definitely. That's some interesting stuff. I got
Yes.
got my turtle. I got my turtles on my altar. Like that's a
That's right.
huge
You do
symbol.
you do work with a turtle totem. That's right.
Yeah,
I
I
remember
do.
that.
That's one of my animals. My animals that I know of right now, the spirits told me this stuff. I never looked it up. That's why, like, a lot of this stuff I have, I'm grateful because it was brought to me. I didn't like study into it. So I know bear, I know elephant, and I know my main one is a honey badger, and then the turtle. So honey badger,
The
because I'm
soul
relentless.
portrait. We
I'm
did
relentless.
the
I'm fearless. And I'm sturdy like an elephant. I'm sturdy. I'm smart.
The
This,
memory, and I got
yeah,
an elephant memory too. I think that I call my memory because it's so good. And I know you got a good memory. Most Capricorns do, but my memory is so good. It's so weirdly good. I
mm,
call it Atlantean memory
oh,
because
good,
it's something that goes that far back. Everything that we need is really in us. And that's why it's so important that we keep digging in this vessel of what's authentic. Even like the foods we eat that's artificial, the soul is still real. The soul is uncorruptible. It really
right,
is. The spirit can be corrupted, not the soul. But the soul can go low where you don't hear the voice of it no more. Because you've
right.
ignored
That's
it
an
so
ego.
much that it's just like, okay.
Yeah,
Again, like the earth, do you? Because the soul is old, it knows. It just is like the earth knows. The earth has seen so many people come and go, so many
mm,
ideas, consciousness, gods, and stuff, and when we gone, it'll still be here.
damn right, damn right.
Waiting on us to
Yeah.
come back,
Uh-huh.
but I thank you so much. And I know it's late out there. Shout out to Bronx, New York. Way from Bronx, man. It's getting late out there. It's not all the way
Yeah,
late, but it's late.
it's gonna be
You
10,
know.
but it's all right.
Yeah, it's all good.
Time don't exist. They got us in structures and stuff.
When we building on this spirit, it definitely don't exist because some those kind of conversations or philosophy or whatever we want to talk about, they just go and go and go. So
yeah, for sure.
we could talk all
You know what?
night.
I'm grateful that you let me on, especially the conversation we had. It was very important. It was very deep, and for you to share that with me, with your platform, and I know that you deal with very high intellectuals in these kind of conversations. So I just want to give
That's why you
my
sitting here, high intellectual. We
yeah,
all on
no,
different
thank you.
paths, but we're all learning.
Mhm.
And I don't want to make people think that this platform is only for high intellectuals because some people are doing really great things in the community. They may not be that intellectually inclined, but they
Right,
got love in their hearts. They feeding the homeless. They're out here working with children. They're doing things that make our planet brighter. So they are high intellectuals, but it's in a whole nother sense. They got
that's
high divine energy. So
yeah,
we all operating on high times right now. This is like
yep,
a high tea
yep,
party. They got
damn
people
right.
that don't know how to read, but they know how to love. They know how to give back to the planet. They know how to talk to people. They have a keen understanding of human just by studying human behavior. Like some of the slaves. Some of the slaves are some of the smartest people. They would watch their masters do dumb stuff like, wow,
Why did the
master,
Jim
the
Crow laws
master.
exist? The Jim Crow laws exist for a reason. But then again, with Jim Crow laws exist, we could build on this conversation later. Then is the belt curve really true? Right? That they're saying there's an intellectual gap. Then why did you create laws like that? Right.
Mhm.
So that's kind of why I'm against the education system too, because of what you were saying earlier, right? They trying to there's like one system when there's different people, right? And everyone's a genius in their own way.
Right.
Um, so I love what you're saying, and I didn't go too deep into the DOE and how I felt about that whole education system, but what you're saying is how I feel is very true, and I could have went on that all day. That's why I didn't want to touch too deep on it,
Yeah,
but
there's certain things to just don't even open it because it's Pandora's
right,
box. And
'cause
then,
that's
and then we can open
that's
it
the whole
on.
thing. I'm gonna create education facilities because I don't agree with it, and the universe always likes to put me right at the neck of the beast. So
Well, I hope
I'm
you. I
here
hope.
in the
Not
space.
I hope. Not I
Mhm.
hope. Keep inspired with that, and I support that type of stuff because we are going into a new world, and people don't understand. Man, the old world is really gone, and then
It
they
is
waiting on these big old things to happen, and blacks and whites fighting in the streets, and
right.
God gonna come down, and we're
Right.
gonna have some.
Waiting for
It's not.
someone to
We
save
already
them.
in it.
Like, no, empower yourself. Like, oh, I'm here to help people empower themselves. I don't want people to follow me as a damn anything. Like, I'm here to
I mean,
help
we already in it,
figure
is my
stuff.
point. You
Right.
wake up
That's
one
true, though.
day and don't even
That's true.
realize that the change has already happened. Till you look and the world is already different. And you're like, well, what happened? Where was I? Just like nobody sees a plant growing, but we just know it's growing. We don't really see every step of the plant growing or the tree growing. But it just,
That's true.
so for some people, they'll be so lost in the sauce, they won't even know the world that they live in because they didn't align themselves with the things that are the changes or, even our body is going through. I want to just say one more thing. I
Yeah,
like
please.
to talk. I'm a talker.
Right. Oh, oh, we're good.
I want to say one more thing. And this is not really about this bill per se, but it is. I'll talk about the age of the snake a lot. People know I talk a lot about caterpillar and snake and the losing and shedding the skin. But
Yeah.
one thing that I found interesting over these last few days, because I did a lot of shedding. But what about the feeling when the skin is growing back, you guys? Oh my
Oh,
God. When the
oh.
skin is growing back, oh, it's still interesting because sometimes it even feels like a darkness is coming over you because it's another level of consciousness. When you
Mm,
begin to inherit a new skin, the snake is not trying to carry the old skin. So there's a period of time where they're scabbing, where your flesh still may be revealed, where you're more vulnerable, and that's why I protected myself. But now I'm understanding. I didn't even know who I was. I'm sitting here like, who am I? It started feeling like that dissociation again until I could settle into my new body, into my new skin, to my new shoes, as they say. So, this has been amazing. So I wanted to tell people that's going through these sheds, that's what it's going to begin to feel like if you haven't. You're going to begin to feel this new skin coming on you, and you may not all the way identify it, but go with it. Because the more you embrace it, the more you're going to align with that power and the energy of who you are now. That's what a frequency shift really look like. It don't look like people flying in the sky like, oh, I'm fourth dimensional, now I'm in the fifth.
Right. Yeah.
No.
That whole craziness, this whole new age stuff, it kind of some of it's getting out of control. So you're right. There are people here that help like make it make sense and kind of get some of the goofy stuff out of the way. Seriously.
Yeah, it just gets crazy
Yeah.
with it. Like I see a lot of people crashing out. And I'm not saying I just seen it because I do see it, but I'm seeing it as a prophecy. And that's what I'm getting in alignment with. And I want other people too. If you're out here, you hear me, you a Soljet, you a star seed. Some people call themselves chosen ones. I don't really subscribe to that. But I understand it. I understand what they mean and stuff. But the point is, people that are really strong in spiritual liberation and soundness, mental soundness, we are needed. Because there's gonna be a time where people don't know what the hell is going on, and it is scary. It's like
Right.
swimming in the ocean and waves are coming. We may think they don't deserve it, but they do. They're humans. We got to give them a pass. Everybody don't evolve at the same time. You get what I'm saying? But that's going to
Right.
keep us going and keep us working and doing this work because there's going to be a lot of fear. That's why people go to church. That's why
Right.
people align with these leaders. Everybody don't want to be autonomous. So those that some people really they feel like they need that because they scared. And that's why I've always
Right.
walked in the
You
trenches
know.
with my group, with my
Right.
with my people. I bring them in the ocean because they need to see it. When they saw me doing it, it made them comfortable to be tarot readers now, to deal
Nice.
with this stuff now when they wouldn't even
Good
deal with it
job.
because they say, "Well, damn, she
Yeah.
stuck her hand in the fire and then getting burnt." No, because it's not. We got to somebody got to be that pioneer though. Even the stuff that you're going to be doing, you may be
Right.
the first one that have to lead a group of people because they're afraid. We've been
Right.
locked up and indoctrinated on to be on one low frequency. So
Mm.
so anyway, I say you guys, I hope you guys are getting something out of this. If you like it, hit like, share the live, comment, build with us. Again, I got Ancient Angel sitting here with me. And yeah, it's been real tonight. And I'm a high priestess sister. I call her, just call me Sister Soljet or Sister Kola. That's all. Sister, because I do want to be a sister. I'm not no auntie. I ain't your mammy. I ain't none of that. I'm Sister Kola Soljet, okay?
Yeah. Respect. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Yeah, you're funny. I like it. Yeah,
I'm
that's
a
good.
fool with it now. I had to
Yeah, no,
decide if I was gonna be spiritual or be a comedian. It was hard.
oh
I
man,
never wanted to be a comedian, but I'm so funny and my humor can go dark sometimes too.
yeah.
I didn't know I didn't want people to not take me seriously. But when I was in high school, I was voted most likely to be a stand-up comic, but that's not what I
Oh
want
wow,
to do. But I
that's
am funny. But that could go with educating too, because it lightens the crowd up a little bit. We have to be
exactly
funny.
everything. That's what I was talking about with passions that you could express it in different ways. As long as you're doing your that's doing work. That's doing work. That's what I consider work that people should be doing, not going to a 9 to 5 and stuff like that. But we all working towards something. Not everybody, but the people who are not working towards them. There's people like us that are here to educate and honestly be the karma or dharma in their life because we're gonna present the information. They're gonna make their choices. So
Yeah. And some of them will go back and forth. You can't take it
right,
personal. It's a
you know,
revolving door. And that's what I
and
learned,
it's
that you
kind of
can't,
hard to watch sometimes too, because the person take it the wrong way. They off on the deep end and now they don't know, and it's kind of sad, but the universe didn't send me here for no reason, so it was all necessary. And with everything going on, everything happens for a reason too. All right. So I don't want people to panic. Don't live in fear. Okay. Sometimes we see things and it hurts. It's like, wow, the world is so evil or bad. You don't know what that soul did in this past life to even deserve what the heck happened now. So, as far as the fear, they push the fear of death. They push many fears into our lives. So, people, calm down. There's nothing to fear. The past don't exist. The future don't exist. All that exists is now. Calm down and just move forward. There's no need to feel like the Earth's an evil place or a good place. The Earth's a place. And you
That's
would
what
just
that's what Stevie Wonder say, yo. He said we spending most our lives living in a pastime paradise. We spending most
right,
our lives living in a future paradise. But we gotta
right,
live for the now. You know, we get so focused on the past and the future that we can't even be productive today.
right.
You know, so Ashay,
Yep,
thank you for
definitely.
that. Hmm.
Yeah, no problem. No fear, everybody. We're good.
Once
Yep.
again, ancient angel. Okay, we building generational gaps. Okay, we were literally building generational gaps. When you ask why God, how did I know certain? It's impressive that I knew certain things. Then that's because you were coming, and others are coming, and other people that I've met, and even shout out to Soul Charge also, and people that got that willingness in spirit. All my peers didn't have that. People that's in the earlier part of Gen X, they don't have that. Some of them got stuck at one level of thinking, and that's it. But we stayed young, you know, and forever young. So many of us, hip hop bring people together, but we are bridges that are bridging these gaps to, you know, to make a real soul tribe on this family, meaning a country may be a digital tribe, it may be in the flesh, it may be just energetic and soul or spiritual, but
Mm-hmm.
it's time for that shield that's been over us, whatever that cloud is, it's time for it to disperse so we can see the light again.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Preach.
all I got.
It's so true. Right there. That's a beautiful way to end it. Yep, for sure.
I love y'all. Thank y'all for supporting. I've been seeing the constant people coming in. Again, anybody that want, I don't know who's gonna be on next weekend. Oh, probably me by myself. I haven't because I normally do one on, one off, but I'm not really sure. I'll let you guys know if they're gonna be a guest or if I'm gonna rebuild on something else or extend this one. But I'll let y'all know. I'll be in touch and give thanks for Ancient Angel once again. Peace.